Maya stood at the edge of the playground, watching the other kids play soccer. At 14, she was already taller and stronger than most of her classmates. Her dark skin gleamed with sweat under the afternoon sun as she finished her lunch. She had always been different from the other girls in her class. While they were thin and delicate, Maya had broad shoulders and muscular arms from helping her father with construction work during weekends. The teasing started when she was 12. It began with small comments about how she looked like a boy, how her arms were too big, how her skin was too dark. At first, Maya tried to ignore the whispers and giggles that followed her in the hallways. She would walk with her head down, hoping no one would notice her. But the comments grew louder and meaner as time passed. "Look at Maya the monster," Jessica would whisper to her friends during math class. "She could probably lift our entire desk with one hand." The other girls would giggle and stare at Maya, making her feel like some kind of strange creature in a zoo. Maya would pretend to focus on her textbook, but inside, her heart was breaking into tiny pieces. During gym class, things were even worse. While the other girls complained about running laps or doing push-ups, Maya completed every exercise easily. Her teacher, Mrs. Patterson, would praise her strength and endurance, but this only made the teasing worse. "Teacher's pet muscle girl," the kids would call her. "Why don't you join the boys' team since you're so strong?" Maya's parents, David and Grace, noticed their daughter becoming quieter at home. She used to be a happy, chatty girl who would tell them about her day over dinner. Now she barely spoke and spent most of her time alone in her room. When they asked about school, she would just say fine and change the subject. One evening, as Maya helped her father organize tools in their garage, he noticed her sad expression. David was a construction worker with calloused hands and a kind heart. He had always been proud of his daughter's strength and independence. "Maya, baby, you seem different lately. Is everything okay at school?" he asked gently. Maya looked at her father's concerned face and felt tears building up in her eyes. "Dad, do you think I'm too different? Too strong? Too dark?" The questions poured out of her like water from a broken dam. David put down his hammer and pulled his daughter into a warm hug. He could feel her shoulders shaking as she tried not to cry. "Maya, listen to me carefully," David said softly. "You are perfect exactly as you are. Your strength is a gift, not a curse. Your beautiful dark skin is something to be proud of. Anyone who tells you different doesn't understand what real beauty looks like." Maya wanted to believe her father's words, but the voices of her classmates seemed louder than his gentle reassurance. At school the next day, Maya tried to walk taller and feel proud of herself, but lunchtime brought fresh humiliation. As she sat alone at her usual table, a group of popular girls approached her. "Hey Maya," said Rebecca, the leader of the group. "We're having a party this weekend. We need someone strong to move tables and chairs. Want to come?" The girls burst into laughter at their cruel joke. Maya felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment. She wanted to disappear, to become invisible, to be anywhere but in that cafeteria surrounded by laughing faces. Instead, she gathered her things and walked away, their laughter following her like a storm cloud. She spent the rest of lunch period hiding in the library, pretending to read while tears blurred the words on the page. That afternoon, Maya made a decision that would change everything. She couldn't keep living like this, feeling ashamed of who she was. She needed to find a way to turn her differences into something positive, something that would make her proud instead of embarrassed. Little did she know that her journey toward self-acceptance was about to begin in the most unexpected way. Maya stood at the edge of the playground, watching the other kids play soccer. At 14, she was already taller and stronger than most of her classmates. Her dark skin gleamed with sweat under the afternoon sun as she finished her lunch. She had always been different from the other girls in her class. While they were thin and delicate, Maya had broad shoulders and muscular arms from helping her father with construction work during weekends. The teasing started when she was 12. It began with small comments about how she looked like a boy, how her arms were too big, how her skin was too dark. At first, Maya tried to ignore the whispers and giggles that followed her in the hallways. She would walk with her head down, hoping no one would notice her. But the comments grew louder and meaner as time passed. "Look at Maya the monster," Jessica would whisper to her friends during math class. "She could probably lift our entire desk with one hand." The other girls would giggle and stare at Maya, making her feel like some kind of strange creature in a zoo. Maya would pretend to focus on her textbook, but inside, her heart was breaking into tiny pieces. During gym class, things were even worse. While the other girls complained about running laps or doing push-ups, Maya completed every exercise easily. Her teacher, Mrs. Patterson, would praise her strength and endurance, but this only made the teasing worse. Teacher's pet muscle girl, the kids would call her. Why don't you join the boys' team since you're so strong? Maya's parents, David and Grace, noticed their daughter becoming quieter at home. She used to be a happy, chatty girl who would tell them about her day over dinner. Now she barely spoke and spent most of her time alone in her room. When they asked about school, she would just say fine and change the subject. One evening, as Maya helped her father organize tools in their garage, he noticed her sad expression. David was a construction worker with calloused hands and a kind heart. He had always been proud of his daughter's strength and independence. Maya, baby, you seem different lately. Is everything okay at school? He asked gently. Maya looked at her father's concerned face and felt tears building up in her eyes. Dad, do you think I'm too different? Too strong? Too dark? The questions poured out of her like water from a broken dam. David put down his hammer and pulled his daughter into a warm hug. He could feel her shoulders shaking as she tried not to cry. Maya, listen to me carefully, David said softly. You are perfect exactly as you are. Your strength is a gift, not a curse. Your beautiful dark skin is something to be proud of. Anyone who tells you different doesn't understand what real beauty looks like. Maya wanted to believe her father's words, but the voices of her classmates seemed louder than his gentle reassurance. At school the next day, Maya tried to walk taller and feel proud of herself, but lunchtime brought fresh humiliation. As she sat alone at her usual table, a group of popular girls approached her. Hey Maya, said Rebecca, the leader of the group. We're having a party this weekend. We need someone strong to move tables and chairs. Want to come? The girls burst into laughter at their cruel joke. Maya felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment. She wanted to disappear, to become invisible, to be anywhere but in that cafeteria surrounded by laughing faces. Instead, she gathered her things and walked away, their laughter following her like a storm cloud. She spent the rest of lunch period hiding in the library, pretending to read while tears blurred the words on the page. That afternoon, Maya made a decision that would change everything. She couldn't keep living like this, feeling ashamed of who she was. She needed to find a way to turn her differences into something positive, something that would make her proud instead of embarrassed. Little did she know that her journey toward self-acceptance was about to begin in the most unexpected way. 3 weeks into the Strength and Fitness Club, Maya began to notice changes in herself. Her posture was straighter, her confidence was slowly growing, and she had made genuine friends with several club members. Marcus had become particularly close to her, often asking for advice about exercises and sharing stories about his own struggles with being teased for being too thin. The mindfulness sessions with Coach Thompson were helping Maya understand that her worth wasn't determined by what other people thought of her. Every time someone makes a negative comment about you, Coach Thompson would say, remember that their words say more about their insecurities than they do about you. Maya was beginning to believe this, even if it still hurt when the comments came. One Thursday afternoon, everything changed. Maya was walking to her locker after school when she heard screaming from the courtyard outside. Through the window, she saw a group of younger students huddled around something on the ground. Without thinking, Maya dropped her backpack and ran outside to see what was happening. A large tree branch had fallen during the windy weather, pinning down a 7th grade boy named Tommy underneath it. The other students were panic-stricken, not knowing what to do. Tommy was conscious but clearly in pain, and the branch was too heavy for the smaller students to move. Someone call 911, Maya shouted as she assessed the situation. Without hesitation, Maya positioned herself at the thickest part of the branch. She planted her feet firmly, bent her knees, and used all the strength she had developed from years of helping her father and weeks of training with Coach Thompson. The other students watched in amazement as Maya single-handedly lifted the heavy branch enough for 2 teachers who had arrived to pull Tommy to safety. Maya, that was incredible, said Mrs. Patterson, who had rushed outside when she heard the commotion. I don't think any of us could have moved that branch. You probably saved Tommy from serious injury. The paramedics arrived shortly after and confirmed that Tommy would be fine. Thanks to Maya's quick thinking and strength, word of Maya's heroic act spread through the school like wildfire. By the next morning, everyone was talking about how Maya had lifted the tree branch and rescued Tommy. For the first time since middle school started, Maya was getting attention for something positive. Students who had never spoken to her before were approaching her with admiration and gratitude. "Maya, that was so brave what you did yesterday," said Jennifer, a girl from her science class. "Tommy's little sister is in my neighborhood and his whole family is grateful to you." Even some of the students who had previously teased Maya seemed to view her differently. The hallway comments about her strength took on a new tone. Instead of mockery, there was respect. Jessica and her group of friends seemed confused by this shift in Maya's social status. They had spent so long defining Maya by her differences that they didn't know how to handle her being seen as a hero. During lunch that day, Rebecca approached Maya's table hesitantly. "Hey Maya," she said, her voice lacking its usual mean edge. "What you did yesterday was really cool. I heard Tommy's parents want to thank you personally." Maya looked up from her lunch, surprised by Rebecca's civilized tone. "I just did what anyone would do," Maya replied simply. "I saw someone who needed help and I was able to help them." Rebecca nodded awkwardly and walked away, leaving Maya feeling strange about the interaction. She wasn't sure if she trusted this sudden change in attitude from her former tormentors. At the Strength and Fitness Club meeting that afternoon, Coach Thompson beamed with pride as she addressed the group. "I heard about Maya's heroic actions yesterday," she announced. "This is exactly what we talk about when we discuss using our strength to help others and make a positive impact." The other club members cheered and congratulated Maya, making her feel genuinely appreciated. "You know what this means," said Sarah excitedly. "You're living proof that being strong and different can be a superpower instead of something to be ashamed of." Marcus nodded enthusiastically. "I hope someday I can be strong enough to help people the way you did," he said. Maya felt a warmth in her chest that she hadn't experienced in years. That evening at dinner, Maya's parents could hardly contain their pride. David had already heard about the incident from co-workers whose children attended the same school. "I always knew your strength was a gift," he said, his eyes shining with emotion. "Now the whole school knows it too." Grace wiped away tears of joy as she listened to Maya describe the day's events. However, Maya was still processing all the changes. While she was grateful for the positive attention, she wondered if people were only being nice to her now because she had done something impressive. Would they go back to teasing her if she didn't continue to prove herself worthy of their respect? The question swirled in her mind as she tried to understand her new social position. Before going to bed, Maya stood in front of her bedroom mirror and looked at herself carefully. Her reflection showed the same strong shoulders, the same muscular arms, the same beautiful dark skin that had been the source of so much pain. But now, instead of seeing flaws, she was beginning to see the power and beauty that her father had always told her was there. Maybe, just maybe, she was starting to believe it herself. The weeks following the tree branch incident brought unexpected changes to Maya's school experience. Students who had previously avoided her were now seeking her out for different reasons. Some genuinely wanted to be her friend, while others seemed interested in being associated with the school's newest hero. Maya found herself navigating these new relationships carefully, trying to determine who was sincere and who was just following the crowd. Tommy, the boy she had rescued, became one of her most loyal admirers. Despite being 2 years younger, he would often find Maya between classes to thank her again or share stories about his recovery. "My mom says you're my guardian angel," Tommy told her one day, making Maya smile genuinely for the first time in months. His innocent gratitude felt pure and honest, unlike some of the attention she was receiving from her peers. The Strength and Fitness Club continued to be Maya's safe haven. Coach Thompson decided to use Maya's heroic act as a teaching moment for the entire group. "Maya's actions show us that strength isn't just about lifting weights or running fast," the coach explained during one of their mindfulness sessions. "True strength is about being ready to help others when they need it most, even when it's difficult or scary." This lesson resonated deeply with all the club members. Marcus, who had been steadily building his physical strength, started volunteering to help younger students with their homework. Sarah began mentoring kids with physical disabilities, showing them that limitations didn't define their worth. The entire club was inspired to find ways to use their developing strength to make positive changes in their school community. However, not everyone was pleased with Maya's newfound status. Jessica and her group of friends felt threatened by the shift in social dynamics. They had built their identity around being the popular mean girls who controlled social hierarchies through gossip and exclusion. Maya's heroism had disrupted their power structure, and they didn't like losing their influence. During a particularly challenging day, Jessica decided to reassert her dominance. As Maya walked past her lunch table, Jessica spoke loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear. "I guess saving one kid makes everyone forget that Maya still looks like a bodybuilder in a dress," she said with false sweetness. "Being a hero doesn't change the fact that she's built like a truck." The comment hit Maya like a physical blow. All the confidence she had been building seemed to crumble in an instant. The other students at Jessica's table looked uncomfortable, and several students nearby frowned disapprovingly at Jessica's words. But the damage was done. Maya felt the familiar burning in her cheeks and the tightness in her throat that signaled approaching tears. Instead of running away as she might have done weeks earlier, Maya stopped walking and turned to face Jessica directly. The entire cafeteria seemed to hold its breath, sensing that something significant was about to happen. Maya's voice was quiet but clear as she spoke. "You're right, Jessica. I am built differently than you. I'm strong enough to lift a tree branch off an injured child. What exactly are you strong enough to do?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. Jessica's face turned red as she struggled to find a response. Other students began murmuring amongst themselves, and Maya could sense that the tide of opinion was turning. Several students at nearby tables nodded approvingly at Maya's response. Tommy, who had been sitting with his friends across the cafeteria, stood up and walked over to Maya's side. "Maya saved my life," Tommy announced loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Anyone who wants to make fun of her for being strong can deal with me first." His 7th grade voice cracked slightly, but his determination was unmistakable. Soon other students began standing up and moving closer to Maya, showing their support through their actions rather than words. Coach Thompson, who had been eating lunch in the faculty area, witnessed the entire exchange. She approached the group of students with a serious expression. "Is there a problem here?" she asked, looking directly at Jessica. "Because from where I was sitting, it looked like someone was trying to bully one of our school heroes." Jessica mumbled something about just joking around and quickly left the cafeteria with her followers. That afternoon at club meeting, Maya shared what had happened in the cafeteria. Instead of feeling sorry for herself, she felt empowered by how she had handled the situation. "I didn't run away or hide," she told the group proudly. "I stood up for myself and asked her a question that made her think about her own behavior." The other club members cheered and congratulated Maya on her courage. "You're becoming a leader," Coach Thompson observed, "not just because you're physically strong, but because you're developing the emotional strength to stand up for what's right." She explained that true leadership meant using your strengths to protect and inspire others, which was exactly what Maya had done in both the tree incident and the cafeteria confrontation. As Maya walked home that day, she reflected on how much had changed since she first joined the Strength and Fitness Club. She was still the same person with the same physical appearance, but her relationship with herself had transformed completely. The teasing hadn't stopped entirely, but it no longer had the power to destroy her self-worth. She was beginning to understand that her value came from within, not from other people's approval. That evening, Maya's mother noticed her daughter's improved mood and asked about her day. As Maya described the cafeteria incident, Grace listened with a mixture of pride and concern. "I'm proud of how you handled yourself," Grace said thoughtfully. "But I want you to remember that standing up to bullies can sometimes make them try even harder to hurt you. Are you prepared for that possibility?" Maya considered her mother's warning seriously. She knew that Jessica and her friends might not give up easily, and there could be more challenges ahead. But for the first time in years, Maya felt equipped to handle whatever came her way. She had allies, she had confidence, and most importantly, she had learned to see her strength as a gift rather than a burden. Maya's prediction about Jessica's group trying harder to hurt her proved accurate. Unable to diminish Maya's growing reputation through direct confrontation, Jessica and her friends decided to try a different approach. They began spreading rumors about Maya, claiming that she used steroids to build her muscles and that her rescue of Tommy had been exaggerated by witnesses who wanted to make her look good. The rumors spread quietly through text, messages, and whispered conversations, designed to plant seeds of doubt about Maya's character without direct confrontation. Some students began giving Maya suspicious looks in the hallways, and she could sense that people were talking about her when she wasn't around. The poisonous whispers were harder to fight than open insults because she couldn't confront something she couldn't prove existed. Maya's confidence wavered as she noticed the subtle changes in how some students treated her. Even some of the people who had previously supported her seemed uncertain now. The doubt was like a slow poison, making her question whether her recent happiness had been built on shaky ground. She found herself analyzing every interaction, wondering if people believed the rumors or if she was just being paranoid. During this difficult period, Coach Thompson called Maya aside after a club meeting. "I've noticed you seem troubled lately," she said with concern. "Is everything okay? You seem to have lost some of the confidence you were building." Maya hesitated, unsure whether to share her suspicions about the rumors. Finally, she decided to trust her mentor and explained what she thought was happening. Coach Thompson listened carefully before responding. "Maya, this is actually a very important lesson about leadership and success," she said thoughtfully. "When you start to shine and make positive changes, some people will try to tear you down because your success makes them feel insecure about themselves. The question is, will you let their insecurity dim your light, or will you shine even brighter?" The coach suggested that Maya take proactive steps to address the situation. Instead of worrying about rumors, focus on continuing to show people who you really are through your actions, she advised. Truth has a way of revealing itself when you consistently demonstrate your character. Maya felt somewhat better after this conversation, but she still struggled with the uncertainty of not knowing what people were really thinking about her. The turning point came during the school's annual charity fundraiser event. The student council had organized various activities to raise money for the local children's hospital, and they needed volunteers to help set up equipment, manage booths, and assist with activities. Maya decided to volunteer, seeing it as an opportunity to continue showing her positive character through service to others. On the day of the fundraiser, Maya arrived early to help set up. She was assigned to work with the strength testing booth, where students could try various physical challenges and win prizes for the charity. As she organized equipment and prepared the area, other volunteers began arriving, including several students who had been giving her strange looks recently. One of these students was Alex, a boy from her math class who had always been friendly, but had seemed distant lately. As they worked together to set up the booth, Alex finally spoke up. "Maya, can I ask you something?" he said hesitantly. "Some people are saying weird things about you, but I wanted to hear the truth directly from you. Did you really lift that tree branch by yourself, or did you have help?" Maya looked at Alex directly and spoke honestly. "I lifted the branch by myself," she said simply. "I've been strong my whole life because I helped my dad with construction work, and I've been training with the fitness club. I understand why it might seem hard to believe, but it's the truth." Alex studied her face for a moment, then nodded. "I believe you," he said. "You've never lied about anything before, so why would you start now?" As the fundraiser got underway, Maya found herself naturally taking on a leadership role at the strength testing booth. Students who wanted to try the challenges looked to her for guidance and encouragement. She helped younger kids with modified versions of exercises, cheered on teenagers attempting difficult challenges, and created an atmosphere of fun and support that drew crowds to their booth. Tommy arrived with his parents midway through the event. When they saw Maya, Tommy's mother immediately approached her with tears in her eyes. "You must be Maya," she said warmly. "I've been wanting to thank you properly for saving my son. The doctor said that if that branch had stayed on him much longer, he could have had serious internal injuries." She hugged Maya tightly while Tommy's father shook her hand. Gratefully, the public display of gratitude from Tommy's family was witnessed by dozens of students and parents. Maya noticed Jessica and her friends watching from across the courtyard, their expressions showing a mixture of embarrassment and frustration. It was becoming clear that their rumor campaign was failing because Maya's actions consistently contradicted their false narratives. As the day continued, Maya's booth became one of the most popular attractions at the fundraiser. Students were drawn not just by the physical challenges, but by Maya's encouraging presence and genuine enthusiasm for helping others succeed. Several parents complimented the school principal on having such a positive role model among the students. Near the end of the event, something unexpected happened. Sarah from the fitness club approached Maya with a concerned expression. "Maya, I overheard Jessica talking to her friends behind the gymnasium," she said quietly. She's planning something for Monday. I couldn't hear exactly what, but it didn't sound good. I think she's really angry that her rumors didn't work. Maya thanked Sarah for the warning, but felt surprisingly calm about whatever Jessica might be planning. The day's events had reminded her of her own strength and the support she had from genuine friends and family. More importantly, she had seen clear evidence that truth and consistent good character were more powerful than rumors and lies. That evening, Maya's family celebrated her successful day at the fundraiser. Her parents had heard from other parents about Maya's positive impact at the event, and they were bursting with pride. "You're becoming the person we always knew you could be," David told his daughter. "Strong on the outside, strong on the inside, and using both kinds of strength to help others." As she prepared for bed, Maya thought about Sarah's warning and wondered what Jessica had planned for Monday. Instead of feeling anxious, she felt prepared. She had learned that her worth wasn't determined by what others said about her, and she had built a network of genuine relationships based on trust and mutual respect. Whatever came next, she was ready to face it with confidence and grace. Monday morning arrived with an unusual buzz of excitement in the school hallways. Maya noticed clusters of students whispering and looking at their phones, but she couldn't quite figure out what was causing the commotion. As she approached her locker, Marcus from the fitness club rushed up to her with a huge grin on his face. "Maya, you have to see this," he said excitedly, showing her his phone screen. "Look what someone posted on the school's social media page over the weekend." Maya looked at the screen and saw a video compilation titled, "Maya, Our Hero, The Real Story." The video showed security camera footage of her lifting the tree branch to save Tommy, mixed with clips from the charity fundraiser showing her encouraging other students and working tirelessly to help others. The video had been viewed hundreds of times and was filled with positive comments from students, parents, and even some teachers. Comments like, "Maya is amazing," and "This is what real strength looks like," and "She's been helping people all year, not just with the tree incident," filled the screen. Maya was stunned to see such an outpouring of support from her school community. "Who made this video?" Maya asked, still staring at the phone in disbelief. Marcus shrugged. "It's anonymous, but whoever did it really wanted people to know the truth about you. Look, even some high school students from other schools have shared it." Maya felt overwhelmed by the positive response, but also slightly uncomfortable with being the center of so much attention. As Maya walked to her first class, she noticed that students were no longer whispering behind her back or giving her suspicious looks. Instead, many were approaching her directly to compliment the video or share their own positive experiences with her. Emma, a quiet girl from her history class, stopped her in the hallway. "Maya, I wanted to thank you," she said shyly. "Last month when I dropped my books in the rain, you helped me pick them up and walked me to class even though it made you late. You probably don't remember, but it meant a lot to me." Maya did remember helping Emma, though she hadn't thought much about it at the time. As the day progressed, more students shared similar stories. Apparently, Maya had been quietly helping people throughout the school year in small ways that she had forgotten about, but others had remembered. The video had inspired people to speak up about the positive impact she had been making all along. During lunch, Maya expected to see Jessica and her friends plotting their next move, but instead she found them sitting quietly at their usual table, looking defeated and isolated. Several students who had previously been part of their social circle were now sitting elsewhere, apparently no longer interested in being associated with their negativity. Maya felt a mixture of satisfaction and sympathy watching their social power crumble. The most surprising moment came when Rebecca, Jessica's former lieutenant, approached Maya's lunch table. "Maya, can I talk to you privately?" she asked nervously. Maya agreed, and they stepped into the hallway. Rebecca looked genuinely uncomfortable as she spoke. "I want to apologize for all the mean things I said about you," she began hesitantly. "I was jealous of your strength and confidence, and I let Jessica convince me that putting you down would somehow make me feel better about myself. I was wrong, and I'm sorry." Maya studied Rebecca's face, trying to determine if the apology was genuine. Rebecca continued, "The video made me realize that while we were spending our time trying to tear you down, you were spending your time building other people up. I want to be more like that. Do you think, could I maybe join your fitness club? I want to learn how to be strong like you, inside and out." Maya was quiet for a moment before responding. "Rebecca, I appreciate your apology and I forgive you. Everyone deserves a chance to grow and change. You're welcome to join the club, but you need to understand that real strength comes from lifting others up, not putting them down. Are you ready to commit to that? Rebecca nodded eagerly, and Maya felt a sense of closure about the long period of bullying. After school, the Strength and Fitness Club meeting had an extra feeling of celebration. Coach Thompson had seen the video and was beaming with pride. Maya, this video shows the impact one person can have when they choose to use their strength for good, she told the group. You've become a role model not just for our club, but for the entire school community. The coach announced that their club had received requests from several other schools wanting to start similar programs. Maya's example has inspired people beyond our own school, she explained. We've been asked to help other schools create their own strength and fitness clubs, focused on building both physical and emotional resilience. Maya felt amazed that her personal journey could have such a wide-reaching impact. As the meeting ended, Maya reflected on how dramatically her life had changed since joining the club. She had started as a lonely, insecure girl who was ashamed of her strength and appearance. Now she was a confident young woman who understood that her differences were actually her superpowers. She had learned to value herself based on her character and actions, rather than other people's opinions. Tommy's family had sent a thank you card to the school, requesting that it be shared with Maya. The card read, "Thank you, Maya, for showing our son and our entire family what true heroism looks like. You didn't just save Tommy that day. You showed everyone watching that being different, being strong, and being brave are things to be proud of. You are an inspiration to us all." That evening, Maya sat with her parents for dinner and shared the events of the day. David and Grace listened with tears of joy in their eyes as Maya described the video, the apologies, and the positive response from her school community. "We always knew this day would come," Grace said softly. "We knew that eventually people would see what we've always seen, that you're a remarkable young woman with incredible strength and character." As Maya got ready for bed, she looked at herself in the mirror one final time. The girl looking back at her had the same strong shoulders, the same muscular arms, and the same beautiful dark skin that had once been sources of shame. But now these features represented power, capability, and uniqueness. She had learned that true beauty came from confidence, kindness, and the courage to be authentically herself. Maya smiled at her reflection and made a promise to herself. She would continue using her strength to help others. She would never again apologize for being different, and she would always remember that her worth came from within. The scared, ashamed girl was gone forever, replaced by a confident young woman who knew exactly who she was and what she was capable of achieving. Her journey of self-acceptance was complete, but her journey of making a positive impact on the world was just beginning.